muskets of this time are military weapons. If you join the Army and you're put into the line infantry, you're going to be issued a musket. Now, these guns are what you call smooth bore. And what that means is these weapons have no rifling in the barrel. And what rifling is a series of cut grooves that spiral down the barrel of a rifle. And what that's going to allow is when the ball is fired, we're shooting a round lead ball at this time, it's going to grab that rifling in the barrel and it's going to make it spin, which will make it go straight. And because of the spinning on that ball, it can reach out to 300 to 400 yards. And it's extremely accurate. If you can see it, you can hit it. And Colonel Crockett was an excellent shot. So. But muskets do not have rifling. Again, they're called smooth bore, so the barrels on these weapons is just a pipe. So when the ball is fired, it bounces down the barrel. Now, these guns are sighted for 150 yards. They can reach out to 200 yards, but the ball is only going to go straight to 70 yards. After that, it's going to turn like a knuckleball does in baseball, because it's not spinning, it's just flying out there. So beyond 70 yards, you don't know where that ball is going to go. So in 70 yards, 75 yards, you'll hit that man you're pointing at. At 100 yards, you're going to be roughly 6 feet off your target. But that's okay because it's line warfare at this time. Men are lined up shoulder to shoulder. You're shooting at a wall of men. You're going to hit someone is the idea. So, now, I'm holding a 1795 Springfield. This is the first weapon produced out of the Springfield Armory in Springfield, Massachusetts, for the military and for the militias. Another armory would open up in Harpers Ferry, Virginia, producing these weapons as well. The first weapons made in these armories were patterned after the French Charleville, which is what Mr. Dick says. So they're basically the same weapon. Now in 1850, beginning in 1815, the U.S. Armory start to develop the first U.S. pattern musket. Now the more dominant musket used in this battle is the British-made Brown Bess, what Mr. Green is holding. That is the weapon that the entire Mexican army is using in this battle, and roughly about half the men in the Alamo garrison had that weapon as well. Now they're all muskets, they all load the same way, fire the same way, have the same effective range. The only difference is the size ball that we're firing. American models are 69 caliber. The British weapon is a 75 caliber. So we're shooting a tremendous amount of lead at each other, folks, a lot of lead. So we're going to cover some drill that the men of the Alamo would have been doing in the compound at the time before Santa Anna's army arrives. We got to learn how to fight together as a cohesive unit. So we're going to cover some of that. Right now we have the men standing at what's called order arms. We're then going to go to shoulder arms. Now this is the most common way of carrying the weapon. It's quite comfortable. But you're going to march 10, maybe 12 miles a day. This thing's going to get heavy. So there's other ways of carrying it. One is to support arms. Now the lock is resting in the crease of the elbow. It's quite comfortable. And some men marching onto the field would actually grab the small of the stock and run onto the field like so. Shoulder arms. Secure arms. Now this is how you hold the weapon if it's raining. You've got a powder charge down that barrel. You do not want it to get wet. So if that powder gets wet, it's useless. So we point the weapon down, and we've got the lock up under the left arm as well to keep it out of the elements also. Shoulder arms. To the right, shoulder shift, arms. Now, another way of carrying the weapon as well, it's quite comfortable. Some don't seem to think so. But the lock is resting on the right shoulder. Now, the downside, as you can see, is how high the weapon sticks up. And if you're marching, you're coming across some low-hanging limbs, well, we don't want to bang our weapons against those limbs. So we're going to go back to shoulder arms. We will then trail arms and carry it like so. It gets heavy in that right hand. Change hands. Rechange hands. Shoulder arms. Now the long pointy thing on the very end, that is the bayonet. If it comes to hand, we'll then go to arms port. Charge bayonets. Now when you have a full company of men doing this simultaneously, it's pretty intimidating. And that was one of the ideas, is to scare the enemy off the field. Plus, if we're being attacked by enemy cavalry, those horses see these long pointy things on the end. They don't want nothing to do with that. Plus, we can reach out and strike enemy troops on horseback with it as well. Shoulder arms. Unfixed bayonets. Now we're going to go over the 12-step loading process of firing these weapons, loading and firing these guns. We're just going to do a dry run for you right now. Squad. Prepare to load in 12 times. Load. Open pen. Handle cartridge. Now the cartridge that the men have is a paper tube. It has the ball at the bottom. The pre-measured gunpowder sits right on top. We carry 25 of these in the cartridge box. Now these are crimped over, and the only way we can open these is to tear cartridge. You're going to bite off the end, spit it out, prime. They pour gunpowder in the pan, shut pan, cast about, charge, cartridge. They're going to pour the remaining powder down the barrel. With the ball still in the paper, they're going to wad that up and stuff it in there. Now they've got to drive that paper and ball down on top of the gunpowder. Draw rammer. Ram cartridge. They're going to pack it tight. Return rammer. Shoulder arms. They come up to the shoulder. That tells the officer that they're loaded and ready to fire. They bring it to the left shoulder. So now the officer's looking down the line. He's watching his men. He's waiting to see all of them come to the shoulder because we want them all firing together at once in a volley. We have to fight that way with these guns because they're so inaccurate. And so doing this, we're putting a sheet of lead down at the enemy. We're going to hit several of them doing this. Of course, they're doing it to us as well. So again, on the field, it's about speed of loading. A trained soldier should load this weapon every 20 seconds. So he's going to get 3 shots a minute, whereas the rifle, that weapon can take almost a full minute to load. So again, it's about speed of loading on the field. So we're going to do that, folks. We're going to do the 12-step loading. We're going to load and fire it, and we're going to do 2 rounds at the quickest time. It will be loud, so if you have sensitive hearing, you might want to cover your ears.
Yandel, párate, pon atención.
Ya.
Tápate los oídos. Y hace para acá. No.
She handled the fireworks. You can handle it. One more time.
Freeze and arms. Shoulder, arms. Recover, arms. Ease, springs. Lodge, arms. Order, arms. Spring, rammers.
You got a clean minute?
Squad, dismiss.